Hey guys, so today we're doing a deep dive into a very interesting influencer. I think she's like the most influenciest of the influencers. Like she really truly is the influencer, and that is Jaclyn Hill. Someone actually recommended this. There was just one comment about it and I was like, that is the perfect topic that I want to do. I was swinging between like 2 or 3 other topics, but this one was really the one that like hooked me, and it took me a whole week essentially to like go through everything. These are deep dives, but they are deep dives that are like within reasonable amounts of time spent. So this might still be a very long video, but if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. Don't be like, you missed it. Like I just think like we can say things nicely. Maybe I just didn't think it was important enough. Maybe I wanted to cut some time. But if you think something's very important, then just put it in the comments for everyone else instead of being angry at me. Here's Phoebe. She desperately wants to say hello. So she's gonna say hello and then she's gonna go. Say hello, Phoebes. It's this way. Phoebe, this way. So let's just start doing makeup. I'm gonna zoom you guys in. Not zoom you guys out. Hello. Everything you need to know will be in the description, social media, other channels, and what makeup I use, both UK and Europe and American links will be there. So let's just get into it. Jaclyn Hill is actually Jaclyn Roxanne Hill, but that it will change because she did get divorced from John Hill, and that's where she has her surname Hill from. And she is getting married soon. She's engaged now. So I'm assuming that's not going to be Jaclyn Roxanne Hill for a long time. I think she will probably change that sometime soon. So she was born July 20th, 1990. She grew up in Illinois on a farm, and then in 98 she moved to Florida, Tampa, after her dad started pursuing like the God-related like missionary work that he was doing that everyone was talking about, and since then she hasn't really had much contact with him. She was actually homeschooled and then went to college for photography, but dropped out and became a makeup artist at MAC. Now, I would love to, at some point in time, talk about the makeup artist at MAC to YouTube influencer pipeline. Like, I think it's so crazy to me. I do understand that like MAC definitely opened a lot of doors for people. I think a lot of people, if they didn't go into influencing, they probably went into just being a makeup artist. I think it was a great start because it was almost like you had free makeup training, but you also like got paid for it. Does that make sense? Like it was such an easy, not easy, but it was an easier way to learn about makeup than to go to like makeup school and not get paid for it and have to normally pay for it, right? So I feel like working at MAC or working at Sephora was probably a really great experience for a lot of people. But I'm just noticing that like jump from like working at MAC and Sephora to then being an influencer, and I feel like that's how a lot of like the first batch of beauty gurus came up, was just working at MAC and then taking what they know and all the makeup that they have and applying it to YouTube. She actually started her YouTube channel in 2011, and she was mainly focusing on doing like celebrity makeup looks. So one of her oldest videos on her channel right now is the Kim Kardashian holiday makeup tutorial. So it's just things like that. I think back in the day people were really obsessed with copying celebrity makeup looks more than now. Like I feel like that's not really you're not really gonna blow up on YouTube over that kind of video, but back in the day you really could. Like I just think that was really something that people were looking for. There's just a piece of hair. That's very convenient for the topic of conversation today, just hair and makeup. Her most popular video on her channel right now is an old video where she does a smoky cat eye tutorial and has 16 million views. I feel like people back in the day were really obsessed with the smoky cat eye. Like that really was just like it for everyone. People needed to know how to do it. And then her second highest viewed video is her collab with Kim Kardashian, which was when Kim Kardashian was launching KKW Beauty and she was just collabing with all the influencers. She had a lot of MAC products back in the day. Like she would pretty much exclusively at the beginning of her channel use MAC products, like MAC brushes and MAC lipsticks. I just have a hair on my face. And I'm saying that's because one, that was really what was popular at the time, like people were just using MAC, but also she obviously worked at MAC. She probably just had a lot of things from working at MAC, and it made for like an easier journey to growing on YouTube because that's what people were looking for. I just kicked the camera. Because that's what people were looking for. People wanted to see like the MAC lipstick collections, and they wanted to see them being used, and then the eyeshadows, and I just think it was like a perfect recipe for her to blow up on YouTube. She also had, kind of early on in her career, she had a meet and greet at a beauty shop. There were a lot of people. Like I just want to say, a lot of people showed up for her. And it just goes to show, like, even from the get-go, she had this really loyal audience that would just show up for anything that she did. And I think that then translated into all of her launches recently. And I think it really sets the scene for how she has managed to not truly be cancelled despite everything that's happened. Like, I think she's truly managed to stay with her loyal audience. I don't know why, but I have these weird warm feelings. I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the video, but I have these weird warm feelings towards Jaclyn Hill. Like, I can't, she's so reminiscent of that era on YouTube that I can't fully cancel her in my brain. Like, I can be negative about the things that I need to be negative about, but in the end, I can't truly cancel her. And I think a lot of people have the same issues as me. I bought this, I literally got it today, this e.l.f. Camo powder foundation. I haven't used a powder foundation since the MAC Studio Fix powder, and I used to use that one to set my MAC Studio Fix foundation, so you can imagine what I look like. So I'm actually going to use this today. That's why I needed concealer. I'm just going to use it. This is in the shade Fair 140W. I feel like such a beauty guru of the times. Why is the sun setting now? Let's turn these lamps on as well. I forgot to do this. Sorry guys, I had this all planned and then I just forgot to do it. So she, at the beginning of her career, started heavily promoting Sigma. That was like the brand that she was shilling at the time. And I used the word shilling because that kind of became a thing for Jaclyn. It was just pushing products and pushing whatever brand was essentially willing to pay her the most. Yeah, looking back on it now, that's my opinion. I'm actually going to use it to set my under eyes. That I might regret that. Actually, I don't regret that at all. I think that looks stunning. I actually think this is quite a decent powder foundation. If you're looking for a powder foundation, I think it looks quite good. So she said shilling Sigma like crazy. She talks about their brushes all the time, met up with them in September 2013, and had a similar relationship as she later on had with Morphe, where she did that whole, we're a family, this whole company feels like a family, like it feels like everyone's just friends, and like this is why I love working with them, because it's all just one big family. And it's just like, she always said that about Morphe. I just dropped my brush, which is super interesting how she likes to like relate emotions to selling stuff. She apparently said that, you know, when she used to work for MAC, if people would come in and be like, oh my god, what brushes do you recommend, she'd give them like the name of Sigma and like basically send them to buy Sigma products. Apparently, we can't really verify this. If anyone has been served by Jaclyn Hill at MAC, let us know if she recommended Sigma brushes. She then released the Sigma Beauty Expert box, which was her fave 7 brushes in a bundle, and they sold out in a few days and then restocked and sold out again. And then end of 2014, she went from mentioning Sigma to slowly transitioning to mentioning Morphe, and then pretty much exclusively mentioned Morphe brushes from that point onwards. So clearly Sigma weren't all that. I actually think she might have really enjoyed Sigma brushes. That could have been true, because personally I think Sigma brushes are the best brushes on the market. They're not the cheapest brushes, but they're definitely the best quality. I believe her when she says that she really liked Sigma brushes at the beginning, but I think she then slowly / very quickly realized that it's easier to sell brushes that are like half the price, even though they're cheaper and the commission is technically smaller on that. If she sells more of them, she'll actually end up making more money than by promoting Sigma brushes. Like, I think selling cheaper products is easier. Like, for example, me mentioning the e.l.f. powder foundation, which costs maybe £10, compared to, let's say, if I'm like, oh my god, this palette is so nice, like this palette's probably like £40, which is going to be easy to sell, and which one would then end up making me a higher commission, right? You have to really like think about that. And Jaclyn did think about that. So that's why I believe she made that transition smoothly to promoting Morphe versus Sigma. She actually always claimed, and there was even a tweet about how she wasn't sponsored and that she wasn't making money from Sigma, but I remember, if you guys remember, obviously sadly she has passed away, but Here for the Tea, back when she was making drama videos and like exposing the beauty community, she had actually exposed the whole affiliate system program. And truly we know about the affiliate program because Here for the Tea had exposed it, and we know now that they were making 10 to 15% per sale through their link. So she might have not been physically being paid for the product, like, hey, here's a brand deal. Like, I don't think that's what was happening. I don't think she was doing a brand deal, but she was definitely, I'm convinced she was making money through the affiliate links. So then we have Gerard Cosmetics. She actually met them at IMAX. Well, right before IMAX, they were in contact and then they met physically at IMAX, but they started talking to Jaclyn Hill, and she allegedly told them that like they were missing this pink shade from their lip glosses that she feels like they need. So they gave her some samples and Jaclyn Hill picked some and then they were put into production and then were quickly being sold as a shade called Rose Hill. So then she did another lip gloss because Rose Hill did so well, and then she had 2 more releases with them, a lipstick and then another lipstick. Oh, also I wanted to add, I'm not doing this in like super chronological order, I'm doing it by brands. So sometimes there might be an overlap between 2 brands and I'll finish talking about one brand and then move on to a collaboration with another brand. So it might seem like I'm jumping in time, but I want to keep brands kind of grouped together. So stories about brands together, because I think that was way easier for me to plan that way. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's all kind of roughly at the same time. So she went to the Morphe store and got connected with Linda, who was the owner of Morphe. She was at the time in talks with Marlene Estelle from Makeup Geek to have a collab for a 9-pan eyeshadow palette it was supposed to be. Jaclyn Hill was also allegedly in talks with doing an ABH collab, but that never happened. I don't know why she wouldn't do it. I feel like at the time, ABH was really like the creme de la creme, so I don't know why she picked Morphe over ABH, but maybe it is the price point and like the value for money that would have made it easier for her to sell the product, I guess. In 2014, she launched the Jaclyn Hill Favorites palette, and the site crashed right before launch, and Jaclyn Hill claimed that they were being severely hacked. And in a video talking about it, Jaclyn Hill addressed it and said that she essentially put all the blame on Morphe and said, you know, it's not my brand. I don't know what happened, but like, it's not my brand. She's been like this from the start. Like, I think she loves pushing the blame on others, and that's just how she deals with drama and these kinds of situations. And we can see that she's been doing it from the start, because even with this launch, she could have just said, oh, you know, we were being hacked, I'm not really sure what happened, like, I'm glad everyone was able to, in the end, buy the product, yada yada. But her initial response to this happening is, that's not my brand, I don't know what happened, like, it's not my responsibility, like, heavily like panicking and pushing the blame onto others. And she has done this every time her launch fails. She just pushes the blame on someone else, and we're going to talk about all of that when I get there. I think this base actually looks really nice, but all just essentially being purely powder. Like, I think it looks really good. This e.l.f. foundation, let me just get up close and personal with you guys. Look at that. Other than concealer and like primer, this is all just like powders. So then she had drama with Gerard Cosmetics. In 2015, she tweeted about cutting ties with Gerard Cosmetics after obviously releasing the 2 lip glosses, the 2 lipsticks, and having an affiliate link with them. She talked about it on Snapchat, but she didn't fully explain why it happened, and just said, you guys can probably guess why. And then just said that she doesn't want to work with them anymore, that she's cutting ties, and that they are in the process of taking her off the website and like making her affiliate link not work. And this was very crucial at the time because Manny MUA was actually launching a product with Gerard Cosmetics, and people were wondering why she wasn't going to be promoting him. And she just said, you know, this is why I already spoke to Manny and he knows exactly what's going on. And yeah, there was speculation that it was to do with drama between the owner of Gerard Cosmetics, Jen, and Corinna Kaboom, as she wanted Jen to do a public apology to Corinna, even though Jen said, oh, you know, I've already privately apologized to Corinna. There was some situation with Jen being really mean to Corinna, who was a YouTuber, and Jaclyn was like, no, I don't want a private one. I want you to publicly apologize because this is ruining things for me, and my subscribers are like coming to me and being angry that I'm working with you. So I need you to do a public apology. And Jen said no, and Jaclyn essentially cut ties. That was the speculation. Then we have drama with Marlene Estelle, which is more detailed, and I'm not going to read everything out for you guys because we would be here for 4 hours if I tried to read out every single receipt for Jaclyn Hill. There are so many receipts, but I'm gonna basically summarize them for you guys. Marlene Estelle announces that they're working on something together, which is an eyeshadow palette. Now, it didn't happen, and Jaclyn said it was due to time issues, is when she responded to people saying, hey, like, it was time issues that we had. Jaclyn Hill released a video called Let's Talk, where she talks about leaked emails that she didn't believe were real. Marlene Estelle did an exposed video, essentially, where she talked about why her brand isn't doing well, and she talked about backstabbing influencers, and people thought it was about Manny MUA, but she confirmed on Twitter that it wasn't. She said, there are a lot of things that I don't like about Manny, but this wasn't about him. Like, this isn't about him. And people then assumed that was about Jaclyn Hill, and then emails leaked, and Jaclyn Hill essentially, she had this 9-pan palette with them in the works, and she kept on changing things. So she would adjust shades and formulas, etc. And then she kept on ghosting them, and they would have to like follow up with emails being like, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Please try this. Try it, like, let us know if you try this. Like, they would send her samples and she wouldn't respond for days. And essentially she was just making it, I'd assume, very difficult. So they're sending emails back and forth. Then it's about, you know, packaging. She's like, I'm not sure what packaging I want. And then once they kind of decide on packaging, she's like, well, I'm actually changing my logo, so I don't want you guys to use my old logo. So you're gonna have to wait until I fix my logo in order for me to send you guys the new logo. And then it was, okay, well, can you get someone to take pictures of you for the back of the thing? She's like, yeah, I know a photographer. And then she's like, oh, actually, he's really busy and I'm really busy. I can't do photos. They're like, hey, can you do the photos yourself then? She's like, yeah, like, I guess I could. And then she doesn't do them for ages because she's ill or because whatever it is. So it was very difficult. Like, it got moved back a lot. And then at some point in the emails, there was a slight shift where she stopped responding as much. And then she was basically just saying how she has a Morphe launch coming up and a Becca launch. And these two really were being thrown around a lot. So Makeup Geek was really, like, from the emails, if they are real, Makeup Geek was being really accommodating to Jaclyn Hill's other launches. She would basically keep on pushing it back and be like, okay, well, I can do it in between Becca and Morphe because Morphe's at the end of the year and Becca was supposed to be end of springtime, beginning of summertime. This was already a few months of a delay for Makeup Geek, but they were like, okay, fine, like we can just do it in between Becca and Morphe. And then she would send them an email literally a week later being like, oh, by the way, Becca wants to launch their products separately and not as one bundle. So actually, we're going to be releasing these products all summer. And then I have Morphe, so I can't do it. Should we do it after Manu Mue has his launch, so that we don't spark his, so we don't shut down his sunshine? She essentially reached out to them and said, to cut this short, she was like, I actually don't think we have time to do this. It was really nice working with you guys, like, my bad. At this point, they had actually paid for stock and like had it put in production, and they were left with probably 50,000 or 100,000, they said, of single shadows in like different shades that they weren't able to use. They actually reused a few of them for other things, but they were left with quite a bit of stock. Because she decided that her Becca launch and her Morphe launch were clearly worth more, even though she was actually friends at the time with Marlene Estelle. So it just seems like a weird backstabbing situation, but it just seemed like she knew that she was going to make more money from Morphe, and Becca seemed like a more, at the time Becca was like more luxury, like it was like a luxury brand, so she was more proud, I guess, of that launch. And it would end up in Sephora, and that kind of gives you links to like a big retailer. And I'm assuming she just wanted to focus all her efforts on that rather than Makeup Geek. So she actually ended up leaving her friend with a bunch of stock that she wasn't able to use, which I think is just not the best. She actually also kept on pushing for their prices to be lower and lower because she wanted to sell more product, which, like, it didn't sound like she was like, oh, well, I just want my subscribers to get like the best price possible. She was like, I know they'll be angry at this price tag and they won't want to buy it. So I need you guys to lower it so we get more sales. And then I can like 100% guarantee that we'll sell out. Like, it was so, like it was proper like Jaclyn Hill vibes. At the time in these emails, what's very interesting is they were already discussing Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. And she talks about knowing the struggles of like ordering product and not wanting it to go to waste, because she had ordered 200,000 to 300,000 lipsticks, and these emails were in 2015, which could explain why her lipstick launch was as bad as it was, because it was probably expired. Like, that makes so much sense. Like, if she had just kept these lipsticks, then it makes sense why they were such a mess. Let's talk about Becca for a minute. She launched one of the best-selling highlights of all time, Champagne Pop, and then she did a bunch of products around it, including Prosecco Pop, some face palette, an eyeshadow palette, these blush and highlighter like duos that she had. It was supposed to be limited edition, but then became very permanent, which is also a running deal with Jaclyn Hill. She'll announce something as limited edition and promise everyone that it's like limited, you can only get it now. And then a few months later, like clockwork, she's like, oh, by the way, you can buy it permanently now. She did it with a bunch of stuff. I'll get into that. They also released a Champagne Glow Trio that was launched right before the Champagne Pop highlighter was made permanent. So she released these limited edition things, right? The highlight was limited edition. People bought it, panicking that it was going to sell out. People bought backups just in case, so they would never run out of it because it was such a good highlight at the time. She released this trio with other shades, and all this time they're saying this is limited edition, this is limited edition. So tell me why all three of the shades in that then became permanent products. One of them was Pearl, one of them was Champagne Pop, and then there was another one. Then Trendwood actually posted about Prosecco Pop, which was a shade from the face palette, which was a remix of Champagne Pop. And they talked about how it was becoming permanent, like Prosecco Pop was going to be permanent. And Jaclyn Hill had actually responded in the comments being like, oh, I don't know about this. I didn't know anything about this. And she started atting like the people that work for Becca, being like, hey, can you explain why my shade is becoming permanent. Like, I didn't know about this. So she was acting like she was blindsided by this, just like the rest of us, which I don't know if I believe. So then they launched an eyeshadow palette, which had awful reviews. And Jaclyn had asked for it to be pulled off the shelves. This was a pre-sale, and so basically, essentially, people bought on a pre-sale, the reviews were bad, and then they didn't like fully release it. And Jaclyn Hill said that she wasn't involved. Essentially, she did this big story about how she was like, and if you guys remember with our previous excuses, she said she was only responsible for making one of those shades, which was supposed to be reminiscent of Champagne Pop. They did the rest of the shades. She knows nothing about this, like their, you know, methods. She had nothing to do with this. She picked one shade, they picked the rest, and apparently without her knowledge, they went and sent the request to a lab that wasn't their usual lab, so they could get the products for cheaper and quicker. And they did all of this without her knowing, which, look, if that is actually true, it's very sucky that they would do that, obviously, because it tarnishes her reputation. But there seems to be an ongoing theme with her having subpar launches and then blaming it on the brand when she gets called out, right? We've seen it once and we're seeing it again, and we're going to see it again. Spoiler alert. So now that she's fully engulfed herself in Morphe, I think, so she was kind of swinging between, like, she had Sigma, and then she had Gerard Cosmetics, and then she had Makeup Geek, and then she had Becca and Makeup Geek, and it was all kind of linked. And then I think it already stopped, and she was known as Jaclyn Hill Morphe. Like, that was just like her thing. She was just doing Morphe. So she released her original 30 pan palette, which everyone loved. I actually am so upset I missed out on the initial formula. I remember wanting to buy it, and it was actually on sale, and then I was like, no, like, it's you know, I don't need it, it's so big, there's so many shades. I just stabbed myself in the eye. But now I regret it, because I feel like it's just like a piece of history for the beauty community. Like, I really, really regret not having it. It's one of those products, and like, I know you can still buy it, but it's not the same as the original formula. It's actually different, which I'm going to talk about later. So she released the 30 pound palette, and then she sold it in like different packaging originally, and then she said it was going to be limited edition, and then she actually rebranded it and started selling it through Ulta, which people were really upset about because the packaging was better. It was like less messy, it had, you know, like all the shades in the back and yada yada yada, and people were just like, okay, so why did I buy this packaging from Morphe and wait for ages for the shipping when I could have just bought it in Ulta if you had just told us that it wasn't permanent? She claimed that the price was higher due to a brand new formula, but it was actually the same formula as another palette, which was a 25 pan palette, which was then, I remember I found this out from Jen Love's reviews, and the only difference really was how it was pressed, which doesn't really warrant the extra price tag, right? Right before she launched the palette, or like announced it essentially, there was a picture posted of a cake that looked like the palette, and it had like the Jaclyn Hill logo on it and everything, and people started tagging her being like, hey, is this your palette that you're launching? Because if so, then it's really disappointing, like it looks really boring, and like criticizing it, which is kind of crazy because then it became like one of the like the best-selling palettes of that time. And she said, no, it's not, it looks nothing like my palette. And then the palette launched and it looked exactly the same. And then she was like, why would I lie? Like, obviously you're gonna see my palette. I was like, yeah, we saw it and it looks pretty much identical. Like, what do you mean? Why would you lie about that and then lie about not lying about that? It's so weird. Why would she do that? Then she came out with shades which were allegedly leftovers of the original 30 pan palette, and then she made them into 4 smaller 10 pan palettes, which is then called the Vault. It was 4 palettes. Like I said, it was supposed to be shades that like she left out, which is weird that those shades then made perfectly for themed palettes. Like you said, you had just like these, I don't know. I just think it was like an easy way to promote this new palette without making it look like she was doing another collab. She was like, these are just shades that I wanted you guys to see because like I'm so upset that you guys missed out on these. Buy this. So she tweeted about how people were disappointed that it was another Morphe palette instead of like her own brand, which she's been teasing all this time. And the Vault was a complete flop, and most reviews trashed the formula. It was patchy, it didn't blend, etc. So how are these leftovers of the palette that had these amazing reviews, but all of these were really bad? Does that make sense? Like how does that make sense? Also, these Sigma lip oils, so good, so good. Then Jaclyn Hill gets called out. She basically says, we're gonna scrap this palette and then make new versions of it and sell it to you guys. Anyway, they relaunched a second version, which was just as bad. Like people really didn't see the improvement. It looked like she had released just the same thing, and then people were looking at how some of them said V2 on them and some of them didn't, which looked like it was like version 2 or Vault 2. So people were looking for those, thinking it was going to be better formula. It wasn't. And she basically made a video explaining how the V2 like didn't mean volume 2 or Vault 2. It was just like a random thing that had like basically no logical explanation, and to not focus on that. Then people talked about how it was the same packaging with a sticker stuck over it. So people were wondering if they'd essentially just taken the palettes, said that they would reformulate them and didn't, and hope that people like wouldn't realize, or it would be like almost a placebo effect of like, no guys, this is different. Why do you think it's the same? And she said no, that they basically had just reused the old packaging. So basically what she wants me to believe is that they sat there and ripped the pans out of the palettes without damaging the palette, and then put in new shades while making the palettes look immaculate. If you move your pans of eyeshadows around, you know how difficult it is to move eyeshadow and take it out of a pan. So I don't know how she wanted us to believe that, because I don't believe it. I don't really know what happened with the Vault collection, but it was very quickly forgotten about. Now, she said that the return rate was 1% and that most were exchange rather than returns. So she's like, the industry standard is 5%. So she doesn't understand why she got all this hate for it. I don't know what I believe at this point. So then she actually did a Morphe 2 palette. It was 30 shades again. And she again had to apologize for another Morphe collab and said it was the same formula that we knew and we loved. So everyone's like, oh my God, it's the same thing as the original 30 pan palette. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. It included carmine and wasn't vegan, and the formula did change a little bit. So she didn't know about this. She went on Instagram and she was like, I didn't know about this. Morphe didn't tell me they were changing the formula. If they had told me, I would have told you guys. And just basically threw Morphe under the rug. Under the rug? She threw Morphe under the bus. And I don't know how these brands continue to work with her, which just keeps on throwing them under the bus. Unless like they just decide together that she's allowed to do that, but I don't know why they would do that. It just seems like Jaclyn Hill doesn't know a lot of things about the things that she launches. Because every time something happens, she's like, I had no idea about this. I had no idea this would happen. How's this happened then? Becca had actually sued Morphe as well for copying the packaging. Here are the two packagings. Morphe then countersued, saying that Becca didn't have this product for long enough to claim that it was like their trademark. And then the Vault got released with new packaging that was just plain white with Jaclyn Hill logo on it. So I wonder who won. I wonder who won that lawsuit. Then we have a slight shift in scandals. We have Kathleenlights, and I think a lot of people have forgotten that this had happened, so I want to talk about it. Kathleenlights essentially was hanging out with Jaclyn Hill at their house, well, at Jaclyn Hill's house, and they were filming a video together. And Kathleenlights started playing Jaclyn Hill's husband's like game console, and it was a VR set. She was playing this scary game, and she was like panicking the whole time. And then as Jaclyn Hill was filming her, it seems as though Kathleenlights had used the N-word. Kathleenlights then reacts to that and is like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And her husband is like, don't record that, like, don't post that.
Just started like ringing my doorbell, just showed up to my house. I thought that she was breaking in. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And she was like, we have to film together right now. And I was like, who are you? I am actually obsessed with Kathleen. She's even cooler in person than she is on YouTube. I love her so much. Seriously, this is her first time.
You're just as cool. You're the same, like really, the same personality. Amazing.
Stop.
Amazing.
Stop. Keep going. Don't stop. What are you doing? We just got done filming our first video, and now we are moving on to round 2.
Right. We've been sitting here trying to film for like 7 hours, but it's okay.
Literally been an all-day process,
yes.
But it's very fun. So we just got done filming a get ready for my channel. Woo! Took us 3.5 hours to film the entire thing.
These are our looks. Mine's super plain, but
no, it's not. It looks gorgeous. She seriously has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in my entire life, and her eyeshadow is blended to like perfection. It just
you have like these blue-green fabulous eyes. It's crazy.
Are we in love with each other? I'm snapping Kathleen because no one ever snaps her. Ever. She's always so under the radar. There she goes. Another wild cat. Look at her. With her beauty products. There she goes. Oh my goodness. Scrambling. Oh. We lost another one. She's got the cutest booty ever, you guys. She never shows it, but she's got the best booty ever.
Yeah, sure. Babe, I can't wait for you to try this.
I am not doing this. I'm not doing
Oh, you
this.
don't want them? That's so you can see.
oh yeah. I'm okay.
You gotta reload. Remember, you gotta reload. Always.
How many times have to reload?
Every time you start shooting, you start reloading at the same time. Reload, shoot.
Oh my God, that's so creepy.
Reload, shoot.
Oh shit, this is like a...
Oh my God, this is really creepy. This is really creepy.
Are they like around me?
No one's around you yet. Yeah.
Look at her feet. She's so scared. She's so scared. She's so scared. She's so cute.
That laugh?
Oh, this
so much. I hate it. And then she plays this. I've never had the balls to play this. This is my nightmare.
You're not gonna play it?
No, John. You know this is not my journey, baby. Come on, clowns, bitch. No.
Creepy. She's gonna pop up in my bed.
I thought you said she's scared of shit. How's she playing?
She's terrified. I don't know, John. I don't know how she's doing this. It's really beyond me. I would literally be having nightmares for the next year. She's handling it like a boss.
And Jaclyn Hill ended up actually posting it. What I find really interesting is it's like weirdly shady, but at least we know the truth. Kathleenlights had actually addressed this, but that's not for me to accept or deny. But Kathleenlights had since actually reviewed Jaclyn Hill's launches, and like they seem to be quite cordial. So that's really, I don't know, I feel like people have swept this under the rug, and like almost with everything else that has happened in the beauty industry, it almost just seems like that really just got like, it was like in and then it was out. Like no one really talked about it that much, like as much as other things, I'm guessing. Then we have Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, which is really where the drama starts. In 2019, she released a range of nude lipsticks. They looked amazing when they were announced. I wanted my hands on those things, but I didn't buy them. And actually, well, I'm glad I didn't have to put up with like having lipsticks that look amazing but don't perform well, but I would have not said no to those views that people were getting for filming those videos, because wow, people are getting a lot of views for reviewing these lipsticks. The launch video was going over like the swatches, shade names, the excitement. One of the shades was actually called Perfectionist, which is so ironic for the rest of the launch. People started ordering and selling out, reviews started coming in. Now there are tweets about lipsticks having holes, fuzzies, etc. And Jaclyn Hill actually attacked the first few reviewers, being like, you clearly applied this lipstick on your dry lips on top of other products, and of course that's why it looks like that. And then she deleted the tweet because more reviews started coming in, and she was like, oh, I guess this excuse doesn't work for everyone. So some big beauty gurus then join in and say their lipsticks are bad too. I'm gonna mainly focus on 3 people, Raw Beauty Christie, Pretty Pastel Please, and Kenna. So Jaclyn Hill tweets that you can reach out to customer service if you have any issues after this. So Raw Beauty Christie, she got 5 million views on this video. She used a microscope, which was really hilarious to me. She went on a website at 9 on the dot and had issues with being kicked off the website, so things were getting sold out. So she was forced to buy like the whole bundle instead of individual lipsticks. Other YouTubers responded saying that they had the same issues. They actually refunded her express shipping without her asking because of like shipping issues. So some people didn't get the same treatment. Like it seems like customer service was very all over the place of people. Some people were getting refunds, some people weren't, some people were getting full on. Like it just seemed like customer service was just all over the place. It seemed like whoever was responding to you, you were getting different treatment. No one got PR before this all launched, so obviously Raw Beauty Christie and everyone started like ordering the lipsticks. Now it seems like Jaclyn Hill had underestimated the volume of her sales again, which makes me think like you've been selling product so well this whole time, you still can't figure out how much product you need and how like well your service should work. I don't know. So Jaclyn Hill then tweets at Raw Beauty Christie that she's on the PR list, and Raw Beauty Christie 1 didn't know beforehand, and 2 had already bought the lipsticks, which is really sus that like PR is always a thing that you send a few days or even a week before the product's launch, so that you can start building up hype around the product and the review videos can go out before everyone else can buy the products. That's the whole point of a review, is to encourage other people to buy or not buy something. So Raw Beauty Christie actually thought that everyone was being fussy and nitpicking about Jaclyn Hill, and then she actually was able to compare PR versus purchased, which is like quite interesting because she had both at that point. There were so many more issues with the purchased product versus the PR. There were the balls, there were hair, there were spots, moisture, holes. She mentions that they could be old, as she's been working on these for a while, from what we think. And also the logo was Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics versus Jaclyn Cosmetics because she was after her divorce at that point. Jaclyn Hill on Twitter actually tweeted that only 0.1% of the lipsticks have issues, which makes me think it's a complete fucking lie. Because when you have these videos that people are posting, right? Let's say they bought 10 lipsticks. Why is it that 8 of them have issues, but you're saying that only 0.1% of lipsticks have issues? Is it that like everyone that wanted to film a video somehow coincidentally just got like the worst of the lipsticks? I don't get it. So actually what's quite interesting is Jaclyn Hill had tweeted in the past about this like sample she got from the lab that looked like this, and then it's very funny that her final product essentially also looked like this, and she called it disgusting in that tweet. She looked at them under the microscope and actually compared them to other brands. Also the PR was super wasteful, which Raw Beauty Christie touched on as well. The acrylic, the lights, the diamonds, the whole thing. So she actually tried on the PR lipsticks on her lips but didn't do it for the purchased ones, which is a good shout. She also heated up some of the balls and they didn't melt, which makes me think that they're like a weird, like people were like, oh, maybe it's just like the oils that didn't blend properly, but like wouldn't they have melted if she heated them up? But the balls just weren't melting. And there were some black balls as well, and some hairs embedded in the lipstick, not just laying on top of it, and some hairs that were like not white and they were black, and then some hairs that were not short but were long, and that's very important. So we have Pretty Pastel Please with 2.3 million views. She actually put on a hazmat suit because people were like, oh my god, these fuzzies are from you, like these are from you, even though the hairs are like embedded in the lipstick. And she used a micro lens instead of a microscope as well, because she didn't have a microscope. She said it was very difficult to check out, and she didn't have express delivery that she paid for, so she wasted $20. She filmed and posted after Jaclyn Hill's explanation video, so she was able to address those directly. For example, Jaclyn Hill said that the fuzzies were from fuzzy gloves that they were using in the lab, as well as a cloth for wiping down the equipment, when like the industry standard is to use nylon like gloves, like plastic ones. Now there are also tweets of people having infected like lips, like reactions to the infections. Pretty Pastel Please was actually sending off one of the lipsticks to a family member who tests cosmetics in labs. And she talked about Jaclyn Hill's receipts that had different batch codes and dated back to 2017, because Jaclyn Hill actually posted that she had these tested and they were completely safe, but these dated back to 2017, which I then want to talk about the fact that Jaclyn Hill said that her lipsticks were officially produced in 2019, even though in emails to Molly Nostell in 2015, she said her lipsticks were already in production. So there are now 3 different dates. We have 2015-16, we have 2017 tests, and then we have allegedly her lipsticks were launched in 2019, which makes me think, this is an alleged theory looking back on it, that she did actually produce her lipsticks in 2015/16 when she was doing her Makeup Geek collab. And then she had them tested in 2017, and then she actually put them up on sale after she announced it in 2019, which is why they were borderline expired. But she didn't want to tell everyone that she had kept these lipsticks for so long, so then she said that she had started producing them in 2019 when the test receipts that she provided were from 2017, which didn't make sense, and it debunks her whole theory, which makes me think that she had this one batch of lipsticks that she sold, and then that makes me think that the PR that she actually sent out, it was late because she was producing it as a new batch, and that's why it was better, because she was producing with a new lab, and that's why she sent it out late, because she probably noticed some of the issues, but was maybe hoping that the issues weren't as widespread and then no one would really notice, and then people will definitely notice. That's my conspiracy theory. So the first lipstick had hair on it, and it went downhill from there. Like really just like watch the videos, it's crazy. Only 4 of the lipsticks didn't have obvious issues, so you're telling me once again 0.1% didn't have issues? No, 0.1% had issues, but in reality people are buying these lipsticks and only like 1, 2, 3 or 4 wouldn't have issues. The stats don't add up. So she just started drawing with them on paper and like going through the lipstick very quickly just to see all the issues, and they were so scratchy. There were actually pieces of plastic in there as well, and a piece of metal that she attached to a magnet to prove that it was metal. That sounds dangerous to me. And contaminated. I'm gonna use that word because it's a buzzword. There were long hairs, there were fuzzies from gloves, black hairs, another piece of plastic. Her wrist got itchy and red. She actually applied it at the beginning of the video, and then she checked back on it at the end of the video and it was itchy and red. Some were super soft and broke. And yeah, so then we had Kenna, who posted a video. It was 1.9 million views. She's a biochemist for cosmetics, and she sent off some of the lipsticks for microbial testing. She looked through ingredients to check for red flags, which she wasn't wowed about the ingredients, but there was nothing crazy other than the fact that a lot of the ingredients don't really mix too well. Like there was some water oil combinations without any mixing. Like, I'm not a biochemist. Essentially, she said that the ingredients list doesn't really make sense for a good quality lipstick. It was also mango oil, which melts very quickly and isn't recommended for lipsticks, which would explain why they broke so quickly. And apparently it only has a shelf life of 1 year, which would make sense as to why she produced this in 2015, 2016, and they were already expired by 2019. She also talks about how the different shades don't have different batch codes, which is not how you should do it. Each individual shade should have its own individual batch code because it is a different ingredient at that point because of the colors, so you can recall individual colors instead of the whole thing. Her first one was completely fine, but the second one had issues. She compared the scent between the two, and there is a difference, and it's that like Play-Doh scent of like expired lipstick. If you know expired lipstick, it smells like Play-Doh, and she said that the second one had a tinge of it, which makes her think that some of them are starting to expire. And then she sent them to a lab, so she posted her update video. She sent in control lipsticks, and then she sent in unopened products as well as the used Jaclyn Hill lipsticks. The Too Faced and the Claire's ones were completely fine, and then Jaclyn Hill's ones came out fine as well with the testing, but that does not mean that they are not contaminated physically. So she's like, they don't have any mold on them in that sense, but they're still contaminated with fuzzies, plastic, etc, etc. She's like, just because it's not contaminated with bacteria and fungus doesn't mean it's not contaminated in a traditional sense of the word of having foreign objects in your lipstick that shouldn't be there. So the theories are she had produced these lipsticks in 2015 and then she didn't launch them them because she had other launches, she had things, she kept on getting pushed around, just like a Makeup Geek launch. It kept on getting pushed around. I'm busy, I'm doing this. I think she just took on too much on her plate. And then she had a divorce as well, which adds a lot to your plate. So there are these emails in 2016, 2015, and the brand was meant to be launched in 2017 and it was launched in 2019, which makes us all think that if the brand was supposed to be launched in 2017, that's why she had the testing done in 2017 to be able to launch a brand, but then she went through a divorce and she went through other launches, and then the brand launch got essentially pushed to 2019, and that's why they were the way they were. But she didn't want to like waste 300,000 products, right? She had 300,000 lipsticks that she didn't want to waste. I also think that she didn't research the lab properly, and things came out the lab later, aka like this picture of a dog. There was some like reviews of like the toilets being really dirty and everyone like not caring about hygiene over there, and even with the like owners of the lab being racist. Like there was just a lot coming out about the lab. She probably just picked like one that could do things quickly and cheaply because she wanted to cut costs, instead of going to the best lab in America like she claimed that she had in her apology video. Marlene Estelle actually spoke out on the lipstick launch, which is a very full circle moment with like the Makeup Geek launch not going through and then this happening. So she was like speaking out about it. Jaclyn Hill started responding to tweets and was attacking people initially, but then deleted the tweets and claimed she didn't see other complaints and issues, and that's why she was so rude in her responses. So she said that they had now switched to latex gloves 2 days prior to that tweet, but in the launch video that they posted for the brand, she was wearing blue latex gloves. So why are you lying about these fiber gloves? Why are you lying? She then deactivated her Twitter account and people struggled to reach her, and then Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics made most of the statements on the website or Twitter and claimed that it was a small amount of lipsticks that were contaminated, and apparently the lipsticks were made in 2019 when she announced the brand, and they were not going to recall them because they're not dangerous apparently. So then she posted the My Lipsticks video. She claimed that she didn't launch the lipsticks she produced in 2015, and these are not the expired ones. So she produced ones in 2015 that she then scrapped and apparently made these with... Now hear me out. You produced these lipsticks in 2015 that you didn't launch, so you wasted all that money on the 300,000 lipsticks. So then you rebrand Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics into Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, but you're telling me that you then produced lipsticks in old Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics packaging? So you ordered more outdated packaging in 2019? How does the lie add up? Because to me, it just doesn't. Like, it just doesn't add up. You would have just made new packaging. Because if at that point you had rebranded and divorced, I'm assuming you would have just made new packaging. But you didn't, because I'm assuming these lipsticks are the original ones that you claimed you got rid of. She says that they're not hazardous, contaminated, or expired. Now, contamination is any foreign object. So for example, hair, plastic, and metal in your lipsticks is contamination. She's still sticking with the white gloves and cloth to clean equipment story, and then she said she won't use this lab anymore, which now doesn't make sense because hear me out. I disappeared for a few hours, I'm back. So in the My Lipsticks video, she also talked about how this is like the best lab in the US, but that doesn't then line up with her switching labs and then changing gloves 2 days ago. So there's just a lot of like lying that I didn't really notice at the time, but I'm noticing now. So it was, this is the best lab in the US. Well, it actually started with, we changed gloves 2 days ago, so that would insinuate that she's still working in the same lab, but then she said that she is leaving the lab and working with a different lab, but then she says that she picked the best lab in the US. So what lab would you upgrade to from the best lab in the US if this one messed up so bad? It just doesn't really make sense to me. And then obviously the replacement lipsticks, is she sending those manufactured by the old lab or the new best lab that she is hiring? She also coined the like grey hoodie apology video. It really just started from Jaclyn Hill, and it started from this exact video. Like I think people just started like noticing how good it looks to wear a grey hoodie in an apology video with no makeup, and people just started really going for it. And then something a bit like condescending and dismissive, she dropped the, I'm so sorry this launch wasn't completely perfect with a bow on it, and it's like that's not what we really expected, but also didn't want like metal shards in the lipstick. Like I think that's like the bare minimum. So after all of that happened, some people got emails saying that they will have to pay for return shipping, or that they won't have shipping refunded along with like the lipstick refunds. So like I said, it almost just seemed like your answer changed based on who was helping you. So some people got their shippings refunded, some people didn't have to pay for return shipping, some people got everything refunded. It just really depended on who you were talking to, but some people were told that they wouldn't get refunds for shipping, and some people were asked to pay for shipping back if they wanted to return their lipsticks, which defeats the whole point of like getting sent metal shards and then you have to pay for double shipping. Crazy. Marlene Estelle then filmed a new video and said that essentially Jaclyn Hill went to her for company advice when she was first starting Jaclyn Cosmetics, and Marlene Estelle told her that the lab that she was working with just wasn't great and that the lipsticks didn't look right, and to not release them, but Jaclyn Hill went ahead with it anyway and then acted like she didn't know that this would all mess up. Like, she basically was trying to act as shocked as we were. She's like, oh my god, I never realized this would happen, when Marlene Estelle literally came out and said, like, you knew this would happen because I told you this would happen. So I think she was just done with the lies. And the lipsticks were never really officially recalled despite all the contamination, so we just all swiftly moved past that. Now, since then, she has launched more products and they seem to get good reviews, mainly her blush palettes. Her cream blushes did quite well. Her lip oils are getting a lot of buzz. She released those blush highlighter duos, but those had very mixed reviews. Her concealer and skin tint, very bad reviews, but not in like a, oh, this is contaminated way, but in just like a, this isn't that great of a product way. Also, recently she was dropping a new collection, and her dog sadly passed away a few days before the launch. She talked about that on her Instagram stories, and someone actually tweeted at her and was like, are you begging for sympathy before another launch? And it's like, I think we're way past that now. Like, I think Jaclyn has realized that the outrage marketing doesn't work anymore. Your product being leaked before it comes out doesn't work anymore. Like, I think she's just literally treating it as like she's got a makeup brand and she's just releasing it. Now that she has like an Ulta brand deal, it's not called a brand deal, like a collaboration, I don't think she has to do any of that anymore. Like, people just walk into the shop and without even knowing who Jaclyn Hill is, they might buy her products. I think that's just kind of how it works once you're in like a physical store. So I don't think she has to do all of that anymore. And just like accusing her of using her dog's passing as a way to, that was a bit out there for me. The reason why I also looked at this topic again is because recently she did a Q&A on Instagram, and she essentially went back on everything that she said sorry for, everything that she had explained, and she said that she almost regrets saying sorry for the lipstick stuff because it wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be. Like, she said she was like, I have so much fuzz on my nose. She essentially decided that, like, looking back on it, not that many of the lipsticks were contaminated and she shouldn't have been as apologetic as she was, which to me just basically completely erases her whole apology explanation. Forgive me guys, I'm gonna do better, because she literally just said like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, people were just complaining for no reason and I like let them boss me around, which like I said, it definitely wasn't 0.1% because people were buying 20 lipsticks and 18 of them were contaminated. That does not sound like 0.1% to me personally, but you guys let me know what you think. Now, what do I want to see from Jaclyn Hill? I want the cream lipsticks back. I want them back without the fuzzies, without the metal, without the plastic. I just want to buy them. And the moment she puts them on her website, I'm buying every single shade. And I vouch that myself. I want the exact same shades, the same shade names. I want different packaging and I want different formula. But like, I want the same base formula, just without all the like added ingredients, aka plastic fuzzies and all of that stuff. Like, I just want like I don't want it to change the formula. I want to know what that formula was supposed to be like, and I want the original shades. I just don't want all the extra stuff that came with it. I know she released liquid lipsticks. That's just not, like, I want a good cream lipstick. That's what I'm really into right now. I want more traditional beauty content from her. I think she's been moving away from beauty content, and I want beauty content along the lines of like 2016 beauty makeup. I want her favorites and fails. I want project pans. I want the whole thing from her. So I think she's the one that can bring it back. I want more launches because her brand actually looks really nice. I want like more basic launches, like just blushes, bronzers, highlighters, the whole thing. Like, I think she's actually got a pretty good rhythm going for her. She's got like a lot of blushes, a lot of highlights. She's released bronzers recently. I just want like her to go down that path. I wanted to revamp the skin tint concealer situation or just add more. And then I think she'll actually be quite set. She's got primer, she's got setting spray, she's got lip liners, liquid lipsticks, lip oils, some eyeshadow. I want more eyeshadow palettes. That's what I want. And weirdly, I'm really nostalgic about Jaclyn Hill. Like, I think I can't see her as the villain, even after filming this whole video and like researching all of this again and knowing how many times she lied, put the blame on someone else. Like, I still just can't really see her as the villain. I'm so nostalgic about her and like what she brought to the beauty community, and it brings me a warm feeling. And I think a lot of people have the same feelings about her, and it makes it very difficult for us to judge her in an unbiased way because she is the beauty community. Like, she is beauty community 2016 with the baking and the brows. Like, she just did the whole thing. Like, she looked like what beauty looked like in 2016, and I'm just so nostalgic of it that I can't fully trash her, because at the end of the day there is that bit of nostalgia for me. So if she releases the cream lipsticks, I will be the first in line. And like, even despite all the bad launches, I still trust her with launches for some reason. Like, now that she launches stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll buy that without like even a second thought, where if it was someone else, I definitely wouldn't. So I don't know what it's about Jaclyn Hill, but she still gets really good views on YouTube. Like, I feel like she's got such a loyal audience. And I think this all links back to like her starting in 2011 and doing the typical beauty content and like very much connecting with her fans and doing the meet and greets. And you could tell how excited people were to meet her. I think she's just got that core audience that's just never gonna go away. And that's just how it is. Now I'm up there. I'm guilty guilty as charged. That's my video on Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. I might have missed a few things out, so let me know what I missed out that you find interesting or anything that you want to add to the conversation. And what do you want to see from Jaclyn Hill? Do you want the cream lipsticks back? Would you buy them if she actually released them, or is that like too risky? Anyway, subscribe with the bell, like, comment for engagement. I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.